All right, we are back. Um, so we're going to be listening to Mr. Roots, Dr. Roots. I can't think of his first name right now. So this is actually exposing the absolute lies that is being said about the white people, farmers that are being actually killed in South Africa. Um, it's and yes, I know it's not only the white people, but it 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 happens to be still happening. So let's get into it.
Today, I want to introduce you to a critical new report by Lex Libertas titled Unmasking the Bully Within: The Persecution of Minorities by South Africa's Ruling Elite. I want to explain what this report is, why it was compiled, how it would be published, and what we intend to do with it. In a recent address ahead of the G20 summit in Johannesburg, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa asserted that no nation should bully another due to its economic or military power.
Isn't that amazing? Ramaphosa says, okay, that, but he sides with Turkey and all those terrorists, which do what? Which do what? Bully, threaten, kill.
Emphasizing equality among nations, decrying international pressures on South Africa.
A country's geographical location or income level or army determines who has a voice and who is spoken down to. And
I would love to know how many of those people understand what the hell is actually being said. They just hear little words and they get so excited. There is no foresight, there's no vision, there's nothing.
it basically means that there should be no bullying of one nation by another nation.
This statement, reiterated in early 2026 amid US actions and global scrutiny, positions South Africa as a victim of external bullies while aligning with authoritarian regimes abroad. Yet, this rhetoric starkly contrasts with domestic realities. What the president conveniently ignores is that South Africa is, in fact, a country inhabited by a variety of nations, and that the political elites in South Africa have been engaged with bullying tactics against minority nations that are exponentially worse than the type of bullying tactics that they are railing against on the international stage. Since the 1994 democratic transition, South Africa has been hailed internationally as a beacon of reconciliation and progress. In 2004, former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan described the shift from apartheid as little short of a miracle, celebrating its non-racial, multi-party democracy. Now, this description of the so-called new South Africa as a miracle is, of course, just one out of thousands of examples. However, over the past 3 decades, this miracle has unraveled into profound internal contradictions. Systemic abuses, rampant corruption, and gross violations of the most basic freedoms of minority communities have pushed the country towards societal and financial collapse. What was once a symbol of hope has developed into a tyranny of the majority, where minorities, particularly white Afrikaners, but other groups as well, face institutionalized persecution. Today, South Africa enforces over 145 race-based laws, surpassing even the apartheid era in racial legislation and earning it the dubious distinction of the world's most race-regulated country. This framework, ostensibly aimed at redress and empowerment, has instead entrenched exclusion and inequality. A telling insight into the ANC's long-term strategy comes from the late Dr. Mario Oriani Ambrosini, former chief legal advisor for the Inkatha Freedom Party and a key negotiator during the 1990s for a new so-called democratic South Africa. In his 2017 memoir, The Prince and I, A South African Institutional Odyssey, Oriani Ambrosini recounted private discussions with Ramaphosa, who was then the ANC's chief negotiator. Ramaphosa described a long-term plan to transfer wealth, land, and power from whites to the black majority through incremental measures, likening it to boiling a frog alive, by slowly raising the temperature so the frog doesn't notice until it's too late.
I've actually seen that, and that is what he said. So if he can do that to white people, what is he going to do to, black people that just happen to actually speak out against him? And funny enough, where is all the wealth going? His couch, his family members, and his friends.
Now, while Western nations have only recently intensified scrutiny on these issues, the South African government persists in denying the existence of farm murders and land invasions, even as it defends the chant of kill the Boer and expands discriminatory race laws. This hypocrisy underscores the urgency of a thorough examination. If Ramaphosa decries international bullying, how can his administration justify domestic tactics that bully minorities? This report, or we might say this series of reports, is necessary to expose these contradictions. It concludes that the ANC engages in systemic persecution of ethnic minorities, undermining South Africa's democratic credentials and global standing. By highlighting evidence across 10 categories, it demonstrates a pattern of rhetoric, policy, and action that amounts to state-enabled abuse and persecution. Now, let me give you a quick overview of these 10 categories that will be discussed in this report and in the series of videos that will be published in the weeks to follow. Firstly, violent and genocidal rhetoric. Influential politicians, including allies invited by Ramaphosa, have promoted chants and speeches glorifying the extermination of minorities. Second, vilification, scapegoating, and blame shifting. Elites, including Ramaphosa and predecessors, routinely blame minorities for national woes, fostering division and encouraging friction. Thirdly, a vast network of exclusionary race laws. Over 145 laws discriminate against minorities in employment and opportunities, despite claims of empowerment. Number 4, the confiscation of legally owned private property belonging to minorities. Policies enable seizure without compensation, which is simply confiscation, with racial targeting explicit in statements by the leadership. Number 5, unfettered land grabs and land invasions, with illegal occupations exploiting legal loopholes, often resulting in permanent loss for owners. Number 6, an ongoing scourge of farm murders, exceptionally violent attacks on farms linked to political incitement, with victims blamed by officials. Number 7, death by regulation, overregulation that hinders self-reliance, insecurity, and utilities, exacerbating government failures. Number 8, denial of rights, interpretations of democracy by those in power that grant fewer rights to minorities, with courts upholding discriminatory rulings. Number 9, public denial by the president and other government leaders, with President Ramaphosa and other government leaders repeatedly denying that these problems exist on international forums, including meetings with US leaders. And then finally, internal positioning and diplomatic contradictions. While claiming victimhood from democratic nations, South Africa aligns itself with repressive regimes, praising policies that suppress minorities. These categories collectively reveal a coordinated strategy of marginalization, contradicting the ANC's post-1994 promises. The
That means
implications
nothing to them.
extend beyond South Africa, threatening regional stability, human rights norms, and investor confidence. Now, here's the plan. Each of these 10 categories will be published separately as standalone sections, and I will discuss each in a video right here on social media. These videos will roll out in the weeks ahead, so make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to make sure that you catch them all. Once they roll out, we will combine everything into a comprehensive report that you can download and share. We will then make some announcements about what we will do with this report and the road ahead.
And this is what we, as normal, everyday South Africans, need to actually do. We need to start doing our bit. I'm concerned not about my future, but I'm concerned about these children's futures. And I'm not only referring to the white people here, okay? I'm actually referring to, okay, black and white and brown. What kind of life are these children going to lead? On top of it, we've got, okay, Muslims coming in, Islam coming in. Because we have got leaders that side with, I'm telling you, Islam. They want to take out the West. They're not interested in growing a country or anything. They want to go back to the year 632. Muhammad. There is so much drama happening worldwide, and so many leaders have sold out. So, I'll do another video soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.